The following show and its content are the responsibility of the show's producers and participants.
Information related in this program is not meant to substitute medical recommendations. Before starting a treatment program, you should consult your physician.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
That's right. Welcome to the Couch Live here at the Problem Solving Network, WPSN99.com. Hello, everybody. How are you? I'm Street Certified Dope Dr. Louis Delgado, along with my cast of friends here, of course, Trinity Phillips. Hello, Dharma Guy.
Hey, what's going on?
How you doing?
I am well.
You doing well?
Well, sort of. Not really, though, actually, now that I think about it.
What do you
the
mean?
pollen is kicking my butt, man.
What do you mean
It was
now?
all over my car this morning.
Yeah, dude, the pollen is
Pollen's bad?
I'm having a hard time.
Why?
The pollen is killing me right now. My sinuses and everything. That is one of the not so pleasurable things of living in Central Florida.
Right.
Is the pollen count is ridiculous.
It can be pretty bad, actually. So I don't blame you. What about you, Grasshopper? We got our intern, the Grasshopper. Hello, Robbie Barrett.
Hey, Louie, nice shirt.
Yeah, same one you got, all right?
Oh, I feel a little left
Yeah.
out.
We're like twins today.
But we got the same hat.
We do have the same hat.
Yeah.
It's like
Well,
a little
there you go.
trifecta going on here.
Well, there you go. I mean, Robbie's just a little bit of you and a little bit of me because he's our boy.
There
Yeah.
you go,
Somewhere,
man.
He's our
somewhere in
son.
the middle.
Hello, son.
I don't
How are you doing today, son?
Go out there and be somebody.
That's right. That's
Okay,
right.
Daddy.
Yeah, well, there you go. Who's your daddy? Anyway, welcome to the Couch Live, everybody. All right, so it's kind of an interesting thing. Trinity, you and I have been talking,
We have.
not on the air,
No.
about a lot of stuff.
That's twice now that's happened.
Right. We just scratched first of all, we just scratched everything that we were going to talk about.
We did.
We were ready, Robbie. We were ready.
Actually, you know what? This is one of the first times we've been ready, like, well beforehand.
Yeah.
We actually we had planned.
Nah, I don't like it.
We were going to talk about certain things, some of the stuff that's happening politically with the addiction news, and then
Right.
now we're going to scrap it.
Yeah, and we scrapped it, Robbie.
Okay.
Just threw it out the window. Just decided we're not going to do any of it.
Okay.
I mean, we were going to talk about it. I mean, the opioid crisis is big. Donald Trump goes and just walks into a meeting that he wasn't scheduled to be at and says he's going to,
Kill all drug dealers.
Impose the death penalty.
impose the death penalty, and then
Right here.
and then he walked out. He dropped the mic and left.
Yep.
So, I mean, we were interested, kind of like talking a little bit about that. Mm-hmm. But then we got derailed because Trinity started asking me some personal questions.
I did. And then I said, hey, this needs to be on air.
Yeah. And so we changed our mind, Robbie.
Okay.
So now we're going to
I'm
go
all
in a
for
different
it.
direction. So this is where we decided to go. So let me update you. All right, first of all, a little housekeeping. So first of all, the only reason we're allowed to be on for an hour, a full hour without any commercial interruption whatsoever is because we have great sponsors. And our sponsors include two major people. One of them is Journey Pure. Journey Pure is a treatment center that has treatment centers all over the place. They got one in Tennessee, Kentucky, Florida. They got a new IOP opened up right here in Orlando that you and I went and visited.
We were
actually.
just there. After our UCF event, we went there.
Yeah. Robbie, have you gone and checked out the new Journey Pure IOP here in
No,
Orlando?
but I did run into Graham the day after you guys went there, and
That's right.
he picked up my lunch.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yesterday.
Did he put it back down, too, or?
No, he paid the bill for my lunch.
Ah.
Very nice.
Wow.
Wait a minute. I haven't even gotten lunch
Look
yet.
at that.
Yeah.
A little, is that payola? Are we getting a little payola?
Wow.
Well, he was sitting on the other side of the restaurant. We talked for a minute. He said,
Right.
"Go enjoy your lunch," and then I went to pay my bill, and he said, "That
It's already
gentleman
taken
covered
care
it." Yeah,
Wow.
I had a little warm, fuzzy feeling.
That's his thing. Be careful.
got
That's how he gets you.
I did
Yeah.
get my coffee taken care of, which now I know what it is, by the way. Like, I know how to order coffee.
Oh, that's
now.
right. You now know how to order
I do.
coffee. We learned that at UC. We'll get into that
Don't
later.
ask
Hold
me,
on.
because I won't get it right.
Listen, don't go far ahead, Trinity. stay back where we're at, Trinity. Stay back where we're at.
I'm excited, man.
Yeah, I know you're pretty excited. You learned your double shot, whatever.
right.
All right, so and then the other one is Retreat Premier Addiction Treatment Centers, and the great thing about Retreat Premier Addiction Treatment Centers is number one, they also have multiple facilities. They got one in Pennsylvania, and then one here in Florida. And they're opening up more, but we can't really talk about that until they're all opening up, I guess.
Wow.
Until they're all open up. But, I mean, they're huge.
Mystery.
They're in network with certain providers.
Yes.
So if you're out there and you're a veteran, or if you're out there and you have an HMO, or you're out there and people are telling you that your insurance may not be as worth as much as you think it is, call the people at Retreat Premier Addiction Treatment Centers. They just may be able to help you out. I know they do that with a lot of people we send, so thanks to them. And not only that, but they have a real skilled staff set over there.
They do.
And so we're gonna pick one of them out.
Well, I've yet to meet one I didn't like.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you got to keep meeting people.
You gotta get out there more.
Yeah, you got to get out there more, Trinity. I mean, you got to keep meeting people until you don't like somebody.
Well, I mean, we met, well, not in person, but I met Shore. Peter Shore?
Peter Shore.
He was on our show a
CEO,
couple weeks ago.
awesome guy. He was just
Really
on the
cool.
show. Yeah.
One of my favorite interviews of all time was Tom Garofola.
Tom's
love
great on
interviewing
here.
him, dude. He's
I
awesome.
I love Tom.
And I have yet to meet Marissa, but we've spoken on the phone.
That's
She
right.
seems very cool.
Marissa's been on the show. What are you talking about?
I haven't met her.
Oh, okay. Marissa's been on the show, and so is John Tudor. Actually came into the studio.
John Shooter's really cool, though.
Yeah,
he's the
yeah.
Brit, though, so how can you not like the Brit?
Absolutely. Well, it's like hard not to like British people.
That's what I'm saying.
You know,
Although
for some reason we all think they're smart,
Yeah.
even though
We talked about that when he was on the show.
Yeah.
Why we think he's smart.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we
It's the
always
accent, man.
Yeah, that's it.
yeah. You just talk like that, and we just think you're smart. He could be dumb as rocks for all we know. Anyway,
We're going to meet another one today.
and yeah, today we get to speak to old Maggie Hunt. Maggie Hunt.
Yeah.
And the reason we're talking to Maggie is because we keep on hearing our Steve Moderano show, Recovery Radio, which is also aired here on WPSN99.com.
It shows up right after my show.
It's right after your show, Dharma Time. That's right. Way to give yourself a plug there, Trinity.
Actually, I was just referring to right after our show. So if you're gonna listen to mine,
What
keep
time is
listening.
that? Yeah, what time is your show,
My
by the
show's
way?
1 o'clock.
Yeah, and the live show's on Tuesdays at
That's
1
right.
o'clock.
Tuesday.
All right, so tune in to Dharma Time with Dharma Guy. Actually.
I was
That's
just
awesome.
saying, if they're going to listen to mine,
Right.
then right afterwards,
Right.
don't get off.
Yeah.
Keep listening to Recovery Radio.
You know, whatever. Yeah, I like the way Trinity does his deal.
You're getting good at marketing yourself.
Trying, man.
He's getting much better.
Hey,
Yeah.
respect the beard, man.
Respect the beard. That's what his coffee mug says. That's right. So anyway, we're going to talk to Maggie. And the reason we're going to do that, Robbie, this is what you don't know. All right, so what happened was I come in here. He starts asking me all kinds of questions about life after that initial recovery thing.
Right.
Right? And there's some
After
things
the
he didn't
pink-
know about me.
After the pink cloud.
Yeah, after the pink cloud, after the steps, after the meetings, after that stuff. And it's like, you know, because, we hear some things.
Right.
And I feel pretty secure where I'm at in my recovery and what I do. But he was asking me questions about why it appeared a certain way and not another way. Because we've been around, especially lately, I think Trinity's been around some more people from the rooms, hashtag,
Sure.
Not hashtag, quote, air quotes. I'm doing air quotes right now if you're just listening, the rooms. And he says you sound different than them. And I was kind of explaining why, I think.
Yeah.
But
Well, I have a different perspective because I'm not in recovery,
Sure.
right.
and so my knowledge of recovery is limited to the experience that I have had.
Yeah.
And so my experiences come from, Louis and people of his ilk, people who have 20 plus years in,
Right.
as well as the people I've had the privilege of talking to in group rooms and whatnot, and I just and some people we've met recently, and just I've had some interesting perspectives on it, and so I had some questions and we were
Right.
talking about it, and I was like, why are we not doing this on air? Because I think some of the stuff that we were talking about, I think people care about. I think people
Definitely.
want to know about.
So have I made recovery look good, Trinity, or you look at my recovery and go like, man, the perspective I've had on people in recovery is really horrible for me. Have I been a good example?
it is?
Why isn't he still working the steps?
No, you know what it is though?
Yeah, have I been a good example of
That's
recovery
a good
or what?
question. The way I would answer that,
Yeah.
actually,
Yeah.
is I would say to people
I'm very curious
to
now.
people like myself who aren't in recovery,
Right.
you make recovery look amazing.
Hey!
However,
Wait, let's stop there for a second. Yay! Let me celebrate in the moment.
Everything before, however, doesn't matter.
yeah, right.
Yeah. Does it really matter? Everything after but or however is just BS, isn't it?
Oh, there you go.
All right. So all right. Go with your however.
The however
All right.
is, I can see how to maybe a newcomer, as you call them,
Right.
somebody's
As
first.
I call them.
Hey, that's what you call them. I can see how you can make it look unobtainable to them.
Oh, that's horrible.
I can see that though.
Unobtainable?
Yeah. If you're if,
Wait. Unobtainable? Like you're saying I project
no,
a recovery
I did
that
not.
makes it look impossible for someone to get?
I
Is
said
that-
I can see how somebody would see that. I can see how somebody could walk away with that because, and this is what we were talking about, and we're gonna go ahead and just jump right into it, Robbie. So
Well, yeah,
welcome.
just jump
Well,
right
first
in.
of all, hold on.
Jump right in.
How open-
Unobtainable.
How open are
Hey,
you?
keep an open mind.
how open are you?
Let me get in my woosah. I better do my Dharma time.
We gotta ask him some of the same
thing.
questions though. So how open are you about talking about your recovery and whatnot?
Very.
Okay, so feel free to chime in then. Yeah. So this is
Well, you just outed him. So what do you mean? How
he's
open are you? Hey,
Outed
Robbie?
who?
No.
On the, no. I'm just saying.
He's
For
talked
people
about
that are
it.
watching this for the very first time or listening for the very first time, he looked at you and goes, how open are you to sharing that you're in recovery?
No,
Robbie,
I meant-
wink, wink.
Hold up. You've shared
I've
it.
talked about it before.
He's talked about it.
know,
Matter of fact,
I
our show
know.
together, you talked about
I'm
it.
kidding.
I'm just
Whatever.
referring to how deep into it are you willing to get is what I'm getting at.
Yeah,
So,
I'll get pretty deep.
all right.
Uh-oh, here we go. Let me give him. I need to.
This is
shovel
but this
today.
is stuff that we were talking about, right? And so I could see how if I'm a newcomer, right? If I and this is what we were talking about, which is
All right.
not necessarily some of the problems, but some of the potential, I'll say hiccups that we were discussing about the recovery world. If
Okay.
You will.
Okay. Let's call them hiccups.
So I could see how if I was a newcomer, and I'm going into the rooms, and the people I'm with are talking about nothing but recovery constantly, quoting a big book to me and everything else, and
Right.
telling me I got to go to these meetings basically for
Right.
the rest of my life.
Right.
I could see how that's not what I would want per se. And then I see people like you, and if I were to ask them, they would be like, "Oh no, that's not right." So I could see how it would feel like if last week I was living on the streets and struggling, and this dude's in my face telling me I'm gonna be doing this for the rest of my life.
Right.
And then I see you living a completely opposite life. It could seem like I wouldn't be able to see myself in your shoes 20 years from now. I could see how I'll never be there. I could see how somebody would get that vibe at that moment. And I think that's what you were saying was it is possible, but there might not necessarily be as many people as you would like in the room saying those things.
Right.
Because the people like yourself at some point oftentimes leave the rooms and they're not in there telling them, "Hey, you can live this way."
Now he's outing me.
I think part of
That's
the
what
reason
you told me.
Part of the
Go
reason,
ahead. Yeah, I told you with Mike's off.
Mics are on, baby. We're
I
going.
don't care.
So,
I'm good with it.
I think the reason that you're not going to hear stuff like that is in the rooms is there's this big feeling that
Right.
if you leave the rooms, you're going to go back out and use
Yeah.
again.
Right.
And that's what we were talking about.
Right.
Is
That's what we were talking about.
I could say right now, as somebody who's not in recovery,
Right.
and then the people that I've met, right? Because I've had the privilege in my life now to meet the people who are fresh in the groups that
Yeah.
I'm talking to, and I'm running groups with them.
Right.
Newcomers.
I've got newcomers.
See, he calls them newcomers too.
But
Trinity.
I feel like that's part of the frat, though. I'm not allowed to call them that.
No. The frat was what they say to you over there, like
Oh,
normie.
when
When
they
they
call me
called you a
a
normie.
Normie.
Yeah,
They called him a
Yes.
normie, and he
Whatever.
took offense.
I didn't take offense. I was like, what? Anyways, but that's my point. Is all right. So now I've met individuals who do kind of quote the big book and
Right.
and what you guys would call old timers. I think I'm assuming that's what you're referring to.
I would call them thumpers.
Okay.
Big book thumpers.
I don't think I've heard that one yet.
Big book
Same-
thumpers, yeah.
Yeah,
Big
yeah.
book
There's
thumpers,
a
okay.
difference.
Yeah, there's
Alright.
a difference.
Is that
Or
kinda
big book
Bible-
Nazis.
Is that like Bible thumpers?
Oh yeah, there's
Same-
thumpers and Nazis
Okay. All right.
are pretty much the same anywhere in whatever subject matter.
Okay.
If you're a thumper or a Nazi, you know,
Okay.
like a grammar Nazi or
So
even just a regular Nazi.
all right, I'm still learning some of the terminology here. So all right, I can see. So for me, we were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
And if I woke up tomorrow and I realized, you know what, I've got a problem, I need help.
Right.
After meeting you and other individuals, because you're not the only one, I've met other people like you who've had 20 plus years.
I'm not
who-
unique, Trent?
in your own very way.
Thank you.
So my point is I've met enough to know that this is possible.
Right.
Me coming in,
Well, wait a minute. Earlier you said unattainable. Not attainable. So let's pause here for a moment, kids. Trinity just said it's
look
possible.
at him adding them all that.
But that
He said it's possible.
You
all
gonna
of
help
a
me out
sudden.
here?
Yeah.
Earlier he
was
said
saying-
unattainable.
He was saying it seems unattainable from a newcomer's shoes that doesn't have any time.
I'm sorry.
can
Let me
see
make
how
sure your
he's
microphone's
been-
on there. Can you aim your microphone just a little bit more to your face?
Yeah, but
we
he's
do
been-
want to hear what you got to say.
he's
It's
been-
aimed down today for some reason.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of slumping.
Well, or you can move the.
It's very flaccid.
It's
All right,
What?
let's get back on topic.
Yeah, let's get
All right.
back on it.
Trinity was saying that he's been around you for a while, so he knows like if he were to suddenly develop the disease of addiction, that
Right.
maybe it would be attainable from his shoes because he's seen you do it
Yeah.
and he knows the kind of life you lead. But a newcomer who's just coming off the streets, who's
Right.
been using for all this time,
Right.
someone's telling them they got to go
Absolutely.
to all these meetings, and
Yeah.
they're like, wait, but look at this guy. He's got
Yeah.
29 years.
Yeah, 29.
And he doesn't go to a program. He doesn't work a program. So why do I have to?
Wait a minute. I take offense to that. What do you mean I don't work a program?
Well, I'm saying by
I
that-
work a program.
Yeah, by that.
Who's getting kind
Sorry,
of defensive today, isn't he?
sorry. By
Wow.
work a program, I mean actively participate in AA meetings.
All right. So
Oh yeah. Okay.
Let's,
So I no longer go to day-to-day meetings.
Sure. So
Right.
let me go ahead and get this out here.
Right.
If
It got silent real quick.
if I'm looking, you did. So looking from
pregnant
the outside
pause.
in,
That was weird.
if I had to choose,
Yeah.
I want your life. I don't want to.
So do I.
So when I was sitting there, and I'll be honest with you, when I was sitting, and I don't mind. I mean, hopefully, I'm not gonna name any names,
Right.
But there was one gentleman in particular that was quoting a lot of big book stuff, and
Right.
everything about whatever conversation revolved around recovery.
Right.
And I'm not gonna lie, there's a moment I felt a little uncomfortable. Not uncomfortable as in I just dude, can we talk about something else?
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah, everything goes to it. Like what we order on the menu, where
Absolutely.
we're sitting in the restaurant.
Sure.
Yeah. It was Robbie, let me paint the picture. There was like 6 other people there. It was actually a group of individuals, all from the rooms at different levels. So stemming from 20-something years down, all the way down, including myself there, and
one normie.
and then him, and then so all the conversation, unfortunately. Whatever it was about, whether we're talking about noise volume, whether we're talking about a football game, no matter what we talked about, all roads led back to, some sort of story or step or phrase from the rooms.
Yeah, and I've been around.
You've been in those. You've been in that.
It's
that
kind
lunch
of
you did.
obnoxious. Yeah,
And that's my point. My point is, from the outside looking in, if I thought that was recovery, to me, I mean, what's the difference? You're both just surviving.
Right.
And so, seeing him as recovery, that's what I want. Because to me, and I told you this earlier, I don't really associate you with recovery. You don't really talk about him. I mean, you talk about it when it's necessary.
Right.
But that's not your life. Your life is this, and that's an aspect of your life.
Right.
To whereas those people, that's their whole life. And so from the outside looking in, that recovery seems miserable to me.
All right.
Now, I'm not saying it is. I mean, for them, like you said, it saved their life, and by all means. But coming into it, I'm looking at the two. I want that. And it doesn't seem like that's promoted very
there's
much.
more to life than your disease or your survival.
It just doesn't seem like that's promoted very often.
Right.
It seems like what you were saying is they're told basically, if you don't do this, you're going to die.
Yeah, we are all indoctrinated with that thought process,
definitely.
and at that moment, we probably needed to hear that. To be quite honest, and I told you, I still send people to the rooms. Every single person I think should do 12 steps. Not just 90-90. I think you should be in there for years.
Right.
As long as you feel like you're. Look, I think you should stay in meetings until you love them so frickin' much that you can't imagine not being in them.
Right.
But yet you've now established a network outside of the meetings that is equal in power to what you have found in those meetings.
Right.
In other words, what you have in a sponsor, you have outside of the meetings. What you have in your friends from the meetings, you have outside the meetings. What you have in the camaraderie and that social aspect, you have that outside of the meetings as well. What you have in discipline, as far as looking into yourself, working on yourself, self-evaluation. What you have in exploring things and speaking about them and talking about them openly. If you have all of that stuff after a while, outside of those as well as within, that and only then should you ever then start, maybe for your own self, evolving in whichever direction you feel is best for you.
Right.
But again, do I think there's a graduate level? No. Do I think that you have to leave there? No. I just knew that was never the goal.
Right.
Those meetings were never the goal. Being a family man was my goal. Being a father was my goal. Being honest and true and respectful and helping others was my goal. And I've dedicated my entire life to helping other people get that.
Yeah.
Right on.
My entire life is dedicated to helping new people come into recovery. My entire life is dedicated into going out there and finding someone struggling, reaching out to them and helping them out. And never do I once, just so there's no confusion here, because some people hearing this may not know this.
Of course.
Just so there's no confusion, never do I give them a shortcut around the meetings.
Well, I think
my entire philosophy is you have to go through that.
Well,
there may never be a path out of that for you, because some of you have suffered so deeply and so poorly and so bad, and there's been so much destruction in your life that that's the only time you have found family and unity and someone that understands you. However, some of us come from really strong families outside of that, and it was us that left.
Right.
I wanted to come back home, and I came back home.
Well, that's the caveat.
And that's where I want to be.
Because you went through them. Like,
Right.
and
And
that's
I
the
think
thing.
everybody should.
I think that's the thing is hanging out with you. It's such a stark contrast at times. It's hard
Right.
for me, even who's known
Right.
some of the story, even to know that you did put the time in. You did go there.
Lots of it.
Yeah.
Daily for years.
And I think that kind of gets lost in translation for
Right.
maybe a newbie
Right.
coming in
Correct.
who says, like, I could get there, but first I got to put my time in.
Yeah, but it's like going to college.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a good way to put it. I think.
It's like going to university and developing as much of an understanding about a disease and about where you're coming from, and then if you just happen to develop a life outside of that is equally nourishing and fulfilling and does the job, you just automatically just notice that you've traveled off. Just like when we got sick, we didn't just get sick overnight. I didn't just get that bad overnight. It was a gradual movement. Sure. So was this. There was a gradual move. There were some losses within those meetings. There was some people within those meetings that I lost. Yep. And so it was a gradual fade away from me. And plus, remember, when you do this all day long, look, my business is in that.
Yeah, of course.
I was in a private practice for over 25 freaking years, owning treatment centers for all those years. Also, what do you call it? The foundation is all based on the Now Matters More Foundation. Is all about helping people in addiction and recovery. When that's and the show has been on since 1999, so I've been talking about this on the air. So when you do all of your life on that, what I noticed, I wasn't being balanced. I wasn't at home with my family. I wasn't being the father that I wanted to be. I wasn't being the husband I wanted to be. It was 100% dedicated to the rooms in my recovery, and I wasn't evolving past that. And then when you look at other disease states like cancer, the goal is to get back to your life. Start walking again, running again. And I'm not saying you can't do that and still be in the rooms, but I had to pick, am I going to do this as a foundation and as a business and still do that?
Right.
Or can I want to keep the business, I want to keep the foundation, but I also want to be home. And that was the part.
What about you, Robbie? Like we haven't even talked about this really with you. So what are your immediate thoughts?
And then we got to get Maggie on the phone because she's waiting for us.
Yeah. So I mean, I think I'm still in that process of kind of building the support network in and outside of the rooms. And I don't think there's a specific date necessarily that you graduate college. Sure. But
and I hate to say that because they'll say that in there too. You don't graduate this program. So just so you know.
But I'm at a place where I'm working with sponsees. I was just at one right before I came here, and that's the kind of stuff right now that makes me feel good, and it makes me feel secure, and it gives me that sense of being, I guess.
Right.
So even you seem like you would be a great sponsor. Yeah. Like just from the little bit I met you, because even how much time do you have now?
Well, I'm just coming back, so I went out for a little bit, and I've got like 2 months now, but
okay,
yeah.
But talking to you, even you. Because when you're around us, you're not quoting the big book 24/7 with us. Like you're kind of the word you used earlier, Louis, was assimilating back into like what we would call normal society, essentially.
Right. That's where we wanted to come. The reason we got into the rooms in the first place is because we went away from normal society. We went away from the norm and went away from our family, went away from society, and now I wanted to assimilate back into society.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like that one gentleman was trying to do that.
No, sometimes they stay in that, and then that becomes their entire society. But again, a lot of those people that stay in there for a lifetime, the people that have my time in, and they still go to meetings every day, they typically don't have the family that I have. They don't have the lifestyle I have outside of that. They may have lost the wife. I didn't lose my wife.
Right.
They lost their homes, their families. I didn't lose my home and my families. So that is their entire world.
Well, plus, like you said, they save lives too, though.
And let me tell you something. Yeah, they also don't have the things that I do on the outside that I save lives anyway. Right. By joining people in the pool. I jump in the pool with them and help them pull out. Right.
There you go.
Well, they do the same thing, but they do it from there.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
so we're all doing the same kind of thing.
From the outside looking in, I can see the value in both.
We need them all.
Yeah, exactly. I think
we need
that's
them all.
The point.
That's the point. And that's why we want to talk about it today. Not necessarily just to out me.
Yeah.
or condemn them or say that I'm better than them because I'm not.
This is real talk, man.
All of this is necessary. You need the people in the room. Because if there were not old timers in the rooms, then you're just sending a bunch of people to a bunch of newcomers.
Yep.
Right.
So you need the old timers in the rooms.
Sure.
Old timers need to be in the rooms. Only the old timers that seem to do really well in the rooms are the individuals that is what they have. Like my last sponsor, look, his daughter, he died without his daughter ever speaking to him again.
Oh, wow.
So she never, ever, ever forgave him.
Wow.
And that's the way he died.
That sucks.
As a matter of fact, when he was on his deathbed, it was me and the other 23 sponsees of his that were around him watching him die of cancer. And he refused to treat the cancer because he says, I've cheated death long enough. I'm ready to go home.
Wow.
So he didn't even fight it. And it was hard for us to all sit there and watch it happen, but his family never came back around. The family he had was us. So for individuals like that, That gave them all the self-worth. But you know what was missing? What was missing was his family.
Right.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, within his recovery, I knew right there and then, that is not the recovery I want.
Mm-hmm.
On my deathbed, I do not want to be surrounded by only my friends that I've met in recovery. I want to do whatever I have to do to make sure that my family is around me. Yes, my friends as well.
Yeah.
But I mean my blood family, because I was blessed enough to still have a blood family. He was not blessed enough. By the time he got in the rooms, again, the very last time he got in, it was over. The blood family was gone.
Yeah, so much wreckage. Some people have that.
Too much wreckage. Yeah. So for them, they need to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I like what you just said, actually, and this is why I like to keep the conversations going.
Right.
Because what you just said, I think my takeaway from that is there are different types of recovery.
Lots.
And I think that sometimes gets lost.
Yeah.
And some of the people I've interacted with it seems like each individual you talk to sometimes gets stuck in their own perspective, and they think that is the only definition of recovery, and they shoot down everything else around them.
Yeah.
They're not open to the idea of, at the end of the day, man, as long as you're in recovery and as long as you're doing well, that's what matters.
Yeah. Look, that's the problem with our field, Trinity, but that's the problem. Everybody's so darn
life,
opinionated.
dude.
Yeah, it is a problem with life. You're right. It is a problem with life. You know, everybody wants you to get clean and sober the way they got clean and sober, it seems like.
Yeah.
Because it seems like it's
the only way to do it. But there's not just one way to do this. Yeah. However, you can't knock anyone. I don't even like to knock people on methadone when they talk about Matt. I don't like to knock people on Suboxone. I don't like to knock people anything that they're doing for their personal recovery. I don't want to knock it.
If it's working,
you know what I'm saying?
Man.
Now, if you come to me and said, look, I have a problem being on it and I'd like to get off it, now I'm ready to give you my opinions and my thoughts on it in a different way.
Right.
But am I going to tell you you're not in recovery because you're on it? Am I going to tell you you're not really in recovery because you're not, because you're on a medication? Am I going to tell you you're not in recovery because you're not going to meetings? You know what I mean? I'm not going to judge you in your recovery. If you're not right now putting poison in your body without anyone telling you what milligram level to put in your body, and you're disobeying all those rules, well, then that's on you. And you're probably not listening to this anyway right now.
No, probably not.
But if I'm talking to the people out there that are actually actively doing something in their life to move forward in life, to assimilate back into their society, to assimilate back in your family, then whatever you got to do to get there, you do it. But you should have the right guidance around you. And the good thing is the 12-step meetings are all around the world. Yeah. So you're able to learn and practice a certain way of doing it that just makes it much easier than having to kind of forge your own path. That's what I love about it. It's already made for you, so you don't have to invent anything. You just have to just do it. Just do it exactly the way they tell you to do it. Yeah. Follow all the recommendations exactly, just like I did. I followed every single recommendation exactly the way it was. And then let's just see where it takes you.
Right.
But right now, stop fighting it and just do that.
Yeah.
Stop looking so far ahead. Don't look ahead to my days. Don't count my days. Don't look at my recovery and try to copy me, because if you're going to do that, then you got to look at everything I did early on.
Well, they're guilty of that too, though, because we said this earlier, is I've ran quite a few groups now with people who knew you as well.
Right.
And that question almost always comes up.
Right.
Almost always people who I'm trying to kind of give them some insight or whatever. Almost always the question comes up, well, does Louis go to the groups and stuff? And they always ask that.
Yeah, everybody wants to know.
Yeah, because I think
what do you do?
Well, and that's where the good part comes in, right?
I have no problem telling them.
Well, I think the reason
you
why
ask me personally, I'll tell you.
I think the reason why it comes up is because you do make recovery look way different than what a lot of people expect. I know that, like, if the only thing I was around was that guy, that's what I think recovery would look like.
Right.
And that's what he's going to tell you it looks like.
Right.
And so when I meet people like you, I think that's why they ask, because that's what they want.
Well, wait, me too. It's because, let me tell you something. I don't care what anyone ever tells you, boys and girls. Recovery, if it doesn't become instinctual, and it doesn't become of just a part of your lifestyle, just the way you are, then you're always going to struggle. Mm-hmm. When I was told I was always going to crave, and I was always going to be one drink away or one use away, the way I was being indoctrinated in it. That fear tactic didn't work for me with Catholicism. It didn't work for me in my home. Exactly. It didn't work for me at school, and it sure wasn't going to work for me in the rooms. Yeah. I had to literally believe that it was going to become such a natural part of me, just like fighting did.
Right.
I don't think when I fight. If you throw a punch at me, I'm going to react to that punch however I instinctually learn how to react to it.
Exactly.
If I'm going to use drugs, I don't need to think about how to get high. I'm going to instinctually get high and find I can make for a guy that can't fix jack, I can make a pipe out of anything.
Sure.
Yep.
You give me a Home Depot.
Oh, yeah.
Or you give me a garage, anybody's garage. My garage at my home gave me every pipe I ever smoked out of.
Dude, my mom was
in my home. I am the most creative arts and crafts guy, just like every other drug addict when I want to get high. But you put me in a Michael store, and I don't know how to do any arts and crafts.
My mom worked in the jail for 25 years. Some of the stuff that she showed me was like...
Exactly.
What?
That's my point. That's my point. I didn't have to go to group and learn, all right, class, we're gonna remember this is how you make pipes today. No. Right. Once it became instinctual, once I knew the principles, the basic principles of how to get high, what kind of head I wanted, blah, 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 I knew how to lie, cheat, manipulate, steal. I knew how to do all that stuff. I no longer had to practice it. Yeah. It was just part of who I was. So I think that recovery should be that way. You should work recovery to change your instincts, to change those behaviors, to change that so deeply so that when you're walking around there and you start having children, if you don't already have them, you start getting into healthy relationships if you don't already have one, when you assimilate back into life the way you want to, you're just instinctually a better person. You're no longer lying, cheating, manipulating, and stealing, but you have the things outside that keep monitoring that with you, and you have a system. That's why I said when you said that don't work a program. When you have a program that constantly self-evaluates on a regular basis, and you have those around you that are willing to call you on your smack, then you're in a very healthy place, and that's what we should all be. Now we better get Maggie on the phone. All right, let's get Maggie on the phone, because the reason we wanted Maggie on the phone, I almost called him the wrong nickname. Grasshopper. That was a bad one too. The reason Grasshopper that we wanted you to know about Maggie is because what she does is she deals with the alumni at Retreat Premier Addiction Treatment Center. She is the corporate director of alumni relations.
I'm glad you wrote that one down.
That's important to me because you know we talk about living life after that initial day, after those initial days are vital.
Yep.
It's important to learn how to live life. So I kind of want to hear about what they do and how they do it.
I think, to be honest with you, that's with any disease. Name one cancer person.
Every disease.
Name one person who's a cancer survivor that wants to take chemo for the rest of their lives. No, they're fighting cancer because at one point they want to get back to normal. They want to get back to living life. Yeah.
Right. So let's Maggie Hunt. Let's get Maggie Hunt on the line.
Hello.
Hello, Maggie. Welcome to the Couch Live. You are live on the air.
Oh, good. Hi.
Hi. Sorry, we got a little distracted. We got a little carried away for a while.
Yeah, no problem.
So I don't know if you were listening. Were you listening?
We were. Yeah, we were listening. We were listening.
So anyway, so just jump right in here, Maggie. Maggie again is with Retreat Premier Addiction Treatment Centers. She is the what was that? You say the title because it's a tongue twister.
It sounds better coming from her.
Yeah, it sounds much better from you.
Corporate Director of Alumni Relations.
Right. Does that even fit on a line? Like on a business card?
Big card.
No. On a business card, yeah. But whenever, if I'm doing some kind of application for something and I have to put it on, it never fits.
She always just brings a poster with her everywhere she goes.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess alumni director is just too short. VP of alumni, that wasn't available.
No,
I like that one. VP
be negotiable. Yeah, I like it.
Vice President of Alumni.
There's some acronyms in there, man.
Yeah. Just say I'm VP of Alumni. Anyway, so Maggie, so you are in recovery yourself and you're open about it, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right. So what got you in this position over there at Retreat anyway? I mean, how do you become the director of these alumni?
Yeah, so I was a frequent flyer in rehabs for a couple years. I went to treatment 10 times.
Okay.
And the last time that I went to treatment, the last 4 times that I went to treatment was at the same place.
Wow.
And Peter Shore was kind of involved with that treatment center at the time.
Okay.
So that's when I met him. And then I ended up going to aftercare. I went to a halfway house in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Nice.
And then Peter had told me that he was opening up a facility in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And I don't know if you know anything about Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I'm not from here originally, but it's
I know
in the middle
of
Amish?
Nowhere.
No, I am not at all. I'm from Bucks County, which is right outside of Philadelphia. So that's where I was born and raised. I would drive from Bucks County to Ephrata every day for a year and a half because I wanted to work here so bad.
Oh, wow. Very dedicated, Maggie.
An hour
Very
and a half.
Dedicated. Right.
Hour and a half one way.
Wow.
Jeez. I did that, but I own the place. But yeah, I did that. All right, so so Peter obviously saw something in you.
Yeah. And I think that, so I was always really passionate about treatment, and I always knew that I wanted to work in treatment, like intrinsically. I think even like the first couple of times, there's just something about the happiness that I see in people who work at a facility who are helping others that has so much purpose in their life. And that is what is so attractive to me about it.
Right. Well, that's cool. Well, so you heard what we were talking about. There's, obviously Trinity had some questions about my own personal recovery. I have 29 years of recovery myself. I've been in the business probably 27 of those years in the business of helping other people. And, he just had some basic questions right before we went on the air, and it changed the whole topic of the show today. So that's what made me call you and want to get, you on the phone, because you deal with people right after those initial days and ongoing. Yeah. And I guess I was real curious of you at retreat. How do you guys kind of help people stay focused so they stay focused on their recovery after treatment? Because it doesn't just end there. And a lot of people wishes it did. A lot of people think, I'm going to go away to rehab and then I'm good. Well, actually, they really believe it. I'll just go to detox and I'll be good. Yeah. And then they get told in detox, no, you should go to treatment as well. They go, okay, I'll do detox and I'll do treatment, then I'm good. Then you go, no, you should really do IOP as well. Okay, I'll do treatment, I'll do detox, I'll do treatment, I'll do IOP, then I'll be done. No, then you should really do some aftercare and some outpatient. All right, you know what I mean? And on and on it goes. So
yeah.
Constantly. How do you deal with alumni, and what is the actual goal, number one, initially, and then how do you keep it going?
So my goal for alumni is the idea of staying connected. I think that by yourself, when you have no support system, it's easy to make a decision to go back out and use, because we can romance it in our mind to make the most ridiculous idea sound so attractive.
Yes.
When you surround yourself with people who are also in recovery, it makes the idea of going back and doing the same thing over and over again a little bit different, because you have people with all different times of sobriety who come, and their common denominator is that they went to retreat, and then they can kind of stay connected and help each other. So but we kind of get them started on that during treatment. So myself and another alumni coordinator that we have, we facilitate a group with them before they leave treatment, kind of getting them excited, because that's what we really want. I mean, we want them to be excited because they're about to, embark on this new journey of their life. Mm-hmm. So we have this meeting with them before they leave treatment, and we kind of talk about different levels of care and why it's important to go. We talk about recovery houses and all of those kinds of things, just to kind of keep them in the loop. And then we talk about our alumni meetings. So we have in both Ephrata and in Florida, in West Palm, we have Tuesday night alumni meetings. Right on. So at these Tuesday night meetings, and they're every Tuesday, we have basically we have dinner for them, and we always have a speaker. We kind of have it be an all recovery meeting, instead of just 100% 12-step based, because you guys were talking about this on the radio, I heard before, whatever their means of recovery is, right. As long as people are staying alive and just kind of trying to better themselves, right. That's who we want to know. Right. And so they come out and they share their experience, strength, and hope, and then we kind of open up the meeting. But people go on a regular basis, they can make this their second home group, because they consistently make it. And then to keep them connected once they are in our alumni association, we give them opportunities to come back and speak at inpatient, come back and kind of talk to some of the inpatients while they're here in treatment and struggling. And then we also have larger events for them. We have a comedy show coming up in Florida in a couple weeks. We did a pool party, a beach party. We just want to celebrate their milestones. Everybody always wants to talk about this heroin epidemic. But really what we should be talking about is what being sober is actually like, and what recovery is like. So that's what we want to do.
That's exactly what happened today. Yeah. That's exactly what happened today. We were going to talk about the opioid epidemic because, Trump just walked in the room and said some things and walked out. But then we got sidetracked because, Trinity brought up a good point. He started asking me questions, and that's really what people need to know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because it's all fear-based. They don't know what life is going to look like. And they think I'm going to have to hang out
suck
for the rest of my life and never go out. That is certainly not true.
Yeah, I would hate to hear that.
Look, and that's what I was telling Trinity. Look, when I walked in, I remember the attraction rather than promotion deal, right? Yeah. So I walked in, and for 4 years, I hated meetings. For the first 4 years, I hated them. And I still went almost every day. But, wow. But I hated them because the people that were telling me that they said I should want what they have. That's the way they were projecting it, right? But they were divorced. They
Right.
they were like on their second or third wife. They were angry. They were bitter. They were drinking a lot of coffee, smoking a lot of cigarettes. The clothes that they wore was way outdated. The car that they drove was barely put together by a coat hanger. That's what I saw because that's what I judged it by. It wasn't until I luckily walked into a meeting where some super accomplished individuals were that looked a hell of a lot different than they did, sounded a hell of a lot, and I did want every single thing because I was very superficial. You can't tell somebody that was initially very superficial, you want what I have. That's thinking way too deep. I wasn't ready to think that deep because I couldn't see what they had other than the superficial clothing and the car and the home and the family. So when I first broke that superficiality, then I was able to then listen to the principles.
Well, I gotta say,
but it took a while to get there.
I gotta say that the congratulations to Maggie though, because I think that the way you put it was actually the best I've heard so far, and that was staying connected.
You're welcome, Trinity. He just put me down, I think, but that's okay.
I'm saying, but the way she phrased it was saying being connected, because if I'm new, why the hell would I want to be around all these old time? Why would I want to be around that? Right. And the way she was saying is staying connected, because because I'm trying to think if I was in recovery, and I had a bunch of my friends who weren't in recovery, and that's all I hung out with, they wouldn't understand, like, hey, let's go out and do this, whatever. Like, they wouldn't quite get it, and so I could see myself getting caught up and wanting to go do it. Yeah. So by her saying staying connected with some people who are still in recovery, but like you said, successful, then I could see how they won't be as apt to lead you astray. Right. And that was the best way I think I've heard.
Well, their feedback is different. Maggie, speak a little bit more to that then. The feedback that you get from people that are actually have, 6 months, 1 year in, stuff like that. The kind of feedback you get from that individual as opposed to the feedback you would get maybe from an old friend or somebody that doesn't relate. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, sure. So I think that like early on in sobriety, like I kind of attribute it to before you're actually like living in the solution, right? Because like when you first get out of treatment, you're not, like you said, like you're not cured. Even when you're an outpatient, like you're not cured. And when you start to like work an active life, doing things differently, things start to change. And for most people, that might not start right away. Until they kind of get connected a little bit, that might not start. But by themselves, like they can, make a relapse sound really attractive. So like, but they won't tell anybody. They won't say anything about it. Right. And then each day that they don't say anything about it kind of like gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Right. Now, but if you have that idea and like you're surrounded by people who have like, a year sober, 2 years sober, your idea seems very much less cool when you share it out loud to people who are going to say, actually, that sounds really dumb. So I think that by having them, and not only that, but Trinity, you had talked about having like a lot of friends who, if you're sober, but like you still hang out with all of your friends who go to a bar, right? But they might be understanding, oh, we get that you don't want to drink anymore, and that's fine. But like, you can come to the bar and just not drink. Like, we'll watch out for you, man. Right. And like, even though they have the best intentions, the thing is like they might not understand like the manifestation of the allergy that you have to like the substance, and that you can't not put it back down once you pick it back up. Right. So, by like having people around you who like maybe would go with you, maybe somebody who would like understand, maybe you want to go to a bar for a concert, and you bring your sponsor with you, or you bring like somebody who like is sober a little while with you, so that like you can kind of get attached to like those old friends who do that kind of stuff. Yeah,
people that don't get this will always do exactly what you said. They always think that if you go with me, it's different because I am going to watch out for you, right? And I'm sure their intentions are really good. Of course. But they're also the ones that say, well, your drug of choice was like heroin, right? Yeah. So like you could drink, right? Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to let you drink more than one or two. They don't understand how that day, that night, turns into a whole other deal, a whole other process. It just begins a whole cycle of insanity and obsession and thoughts and dreams and wishful thinking and doubt.
Well, not only that, when they start to get inebriated themselves, suddenly all that stuff that they talked about before goes out the window.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, and
what were you going to say, Maggie?
I was just going to say they might be able to be okay that night, right? Because like addicts and alcoholics do well in chaos. Absolutely. It's the small things that like mess everybody up. So they might be okay and go that night and have fun at the concert. And then 2 or 3 days later, they might be like just like sitting at home and just like, why don't I feel okay? Like why do I feel anxious? And like it's as a result of like that that situation, like kind of the after effects.
Right, and the other thing is, they may be okay with drinking. The drinking may not take them to a whole other level. However, it doesn't mean that it's not going to start the obsession for cocaine or the obsession for heroin or something else. So that's the other thing, is that the people that aren't in those rooms and you're hanging out with them early on, they have other ways that they deal with stressors sometimes. It's maybe not so helpful for a person in recovery. For instance, I think we all, if you listen to the show, for those of you that listen to the show, know that I'm not an anti-marijuana kind of guy, but I think people in recovery shouldn't smoke. I think people in recovery should be very, very careful about doing anything like marijuana, because it's a whole different deal for people like me. Even though as a standalone substance, well, that's different. Alcohol is a standalone substance, I think, is all right for many people, although I don't think I should drink. I don't think I should do cocaine. I don't think I should do heroin. I think I need to be very careful. If I get surgery, I should try to get right to that ibuprofen as soon as I can. Yep. You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean that I'm an anti-substance. And so the people out there that you start hanging out with, if they're not in the rooms, for some reason, they bring their own deal to the table as well. And if they smoke, then you're going to be smoking. And like you said, Maggie, I like that you said that sometimes it works initially, because that's the biggest fear. The biggest fear was not that I was going to use something and I was going to be off to the races that night. My biggest fear was I was going to use something and I'd be okay. Yeah, right. Because if I was okay that night, then all that did is just all that programming that I got that said that if I used, I was going to go back. Yeah. And if I didn't go back that night, all that did is validate, you know what? Look, I can use safely. Yeah. Look at that. I'm able to do this. Wow. I've grown. I've learned enough. Or I've graduated. I'm cured. I can now use normally. The reason I was using was not because I had the disease of addiction. It was because my brother was very aggressive to me and hurt me, and it was, you go into all that kind of crap. So Anyway, so tell us about some of the events. So you said you had the comedy thing, which I like. Living life is important. I think that you need to get out and start doing fun things, because Maggie, what I like about alumni associations is I think those are going to, in the long run, what we're going to see. And I'm glad that alumni groups are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and more treatment centers are using alumni, and for the right reasons, not for the recidivism reason, but more for the right reasons. The important thing about alumni is I think that is the new self-help meeting. I think that is the new transitionary meeting back to assimilating back into your life, because there's accountability. I like that it's from the same kind of place. So there's a lot of like-mindedness. You all know the same therapist, or you know the same place, you know the same philosophies, you know the same teachings, you know what was happening. But the other thing is that it's not. It doesn't come with all these offensive things that you feel early on. Like when people first go to meetings, they go, "Oh my God, they said the God thing," or "Oh, they were smoking cigarettes," or "Oh, they were drinking coffee," or "Oh, they were complaining." No, these are people that if you did complain, you're all complaining about the same thing.
Yes.
Oh man, the food there was this, or the beds were like this, or that security guard, or that one tech, or that one therapist. At least you can kind of joke and laugh and complain about the same kind of things, but you learn how to live life. You're hiking together, you're surfing together, you're going and doing stuff together that's outside of the meetings. See, the meetings have no opinions on outside issues. The meetings aren't supposed to be anything more than what they are as the meetings. But alumni groups can be anything you choose them to be. So that is a huge deal for you, Maggie. So tell us about that. How are you making the retreat's alumni groups, or the alumni association within the retreat, bigger than just a glorified AA meeting, or bigger than just a big meeting?
Yeah. For one thing, we all like food definitely attracts people too, right? Because if you're in early sobriety and like you don't have any money,
and free does too.
Free's nice.
Yeah, free's nice.
All for free. Yeah, you're gonna want to come. But so we do that. Also, like, the larger events like this comedy show that we have coming up, it's not just like a couple alumni who are funny that we want to put on stage. Like, we're actually like hiring comedians to come in, and have people, because, if you go to a comedy club, like they have alcohol there, right? So like you might not want to go early on in sobriety. So we're going to have one with real comedians and like have, show them that like you can get back into doing all of these really good things. But I don't know, we have like a pretty good following, which is surprising. Like people find gratitude through retreat, like not that like because retreat has like helped them early on in their path, and then like they've continued their path, but they keep wanting to like give back to somebody who like understands the same thing that they went through. So it's so empowering, and it gives me like so much purpose just to see them be excited, because I've been in this job for almost a year, and we have like on a weekly basis in Pennsylvania, we have anywhere from like 35 to 50 people who come on Tuesdays, and in Florida, like it's probably like 25 to 7:30. So to make addicts and alcoholics do anything, let alone like go to a meeting on a Tuesday night, like they're coming because they want to, not because they have to. And it's so great to see.
That's really cool. Yeah, I think, Trinity, you've experienced that now where people reach back out to you after years ago they saw you. Anyone that's ever practiced kind of get that.
Yeah.
So can you imagine if it was something organized like that, like an alumni group, they would all also be able to be in touch with each other, which they are anyway.
Right.
We've seen that with people that we've both worked with in the past. They're together anyway.
Absolutely.
They stay connected.
They do anyway.
So you might as well kind of like run it.
Sure.
You might as well make it a little bit more structured, and give them back a little bit of something. So I think that's really cool, Maggie.
Oh, and I was just going to say, like, if they too, like, obviously, like, we have Ephrata and West Palm as like the main hubs because like that's where our outpatients are. But we're also like in the process of building more chapters in areas where there's like a highly concentrated amount of alumni, right? So Philadelphia is really close to us, but on a Tuesday night, people might not be able to come up to Philadelphia. So like building like a Philadelphia chapter all on their own, alumni like want to do it all on their own. They want to find it and they want to have their own alumni meeting, which mirrors our meeting up there. And then they would come to the larger events, but they would start their own alumni meeting in Philadelphia on a Tuesday night.
Right on.
Nice.
I really like everything you're saying about that.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but I've talked to more and more alumni coordinators recently, so it's definitely like a growing position in the treatment world.
Yeah.
And everybody kind of wants to share the same ideas because it's not about the recidivism as you said. Like it's really just about like showing them like their new purpose and like providing value to them.
Right, and I think that's the important thing to kind of get across as well, Maggie, is just to know that it just makes good business sense, not for the recidivism part, even though you do want to be available for them if they need it. However, it makes good business sense because instead of just taking anyone's money and putting them through a program and then saying, goodbye, now you're on your own, follow everything we told you to do, you stay part of their lives. So when you hear Retreat talk about still investing in people that are no longer coming there, it's because when they invest in you as a person, even though you paid for the service, they take that so deeply, they say, all right, well, now we're investing in you, because we need you. We need every single one of you out there that has ever graduated a recovery program or anyone out there who's ever been in this situation is now can say they're in recovery or recovered because there are some programs that use that terminology. You are so vital to that person out there that we would say is still suffering or still using or confused. And especially vital to the parent out there who doesn't even know who to call, But what we do know is that when you have an alumni group, then it allows that parent to know, okay, so after my kid or my loved one comes to you, they're still going to be connected with you. They can call you anytime, right? They can come and they're going to see some of these people. That's great. They like to know that they're still going to be connected to something because the biggest fear is that what happens next. And while we try to keep, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say we definitely try to keep. We have an app that we have everybody download and like a Facebook page. Like we definitely we do follow-up calls to try to keep in touch with them. And you're right, the family members love that they can be a part of something different than what they had been before they came in.
Right. Perfect. So
and I was also just gonna say we also like to keep in contact with the alumni because we have employed so many alumni that have gone through retreat and they're like fresh blood and they're so hungry and they just want to help people. Like they're just hungry for life and they just want to help people, and we have like some alumni who are in like significant leadership positions now who were here early on, so we also can help them by like giving them jobs later on too.
Right on. I love it.
Very cool.
I love it all, Maggie. Thank you very much. Any last words? If someone wants to learn more about Retreat Premier Addiction Treatment Centers, where do they go, Mag?
They can go right to our website under the About Us, under Alumni, retreataddictioncenters.com.
retreataddictioncenters.com. All right. Well, thank you very much, Maggie. That was Maggie Hunt. Any last words, Maggie? You want to say anything last?
No, thank you guys. Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me on here.
All right. Well, thank you very much. You will be on again. Don't worry. We'll call you again.
Okay, good.
But next time I call you, I'm not giving you any advance notice. I'm just calling you, and then you're just going to be live on the air. You can ask Marissa. That's the way I prefer it.
I said so.
All right. Thank you both. Bye, Marissa. Bye, Maggie. All right. So that was Maggie from Retreat Premier Addiction Treatment Centers.
Sounds like a good place.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, at the end of the day, any responsible treatment center should have some sort of alumni program, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I love that. Instead of just telling us, hey, all right, thank you very much. Now off you go. Follow these recommendations. They kind of stay up with you a little bit. And that's the new trend. That's the movement in which our programs are going. Why? Because we are in a crisis. Why? Because we do realize that what we've been doing is not really working. Recidivism is always high in our business. Yeah. There's a high recidivism rate. And if you don't understand what that means coming back. Yep. That's like you leave and then you come back. That means you leave and for like a criminal when they reoffend, well, for an addict, it's like relapsing or even lapsing. So the point is that it's good to stay connected with a place, especially Trinity. You know this. I mean, they feel so indebted to you when you get clean and healthy somewhere. Like all of us have that meeting. Like Robbie, you can attest to that. There's that meeting or those people that I first met in that first year of recovery. That like they mean so much to me. Right. I mean, they're so deeply ingrained within my heart and my soul. Oh, yeah. And so that is why they'll forever remember Trinity and Trinity's groups. That's why they'll forever want to know where you're at, Trinity, and go like, man, I remember that counselor. I remember that guy. He did the spirituality group. What was his name? I think his name was Trinity. Yeah, I remember Trinity. Yeah. And they want to talk about you. Right. And they remember things. And that's why the other day when I would talk to somebody who had been in a treatment center that both of us were at, and she mentioned, she had just lost her mom. Yeah. And she was dealing with losing her mom. And what did she do? She quoted Trinity. She was just like Trinity always said, pain is a part of life. Pain is a part of life. And suffering is optional. Suffering is optional. It's exactly what she said. And I said, well, before she said Trinity said that, she goes, just like I learned when I was in treatment. And I said, I know who that is. And she goes, yep, that's Trinity. I said, that's exactly who that is. I know who taught you that. And I think that's what's cool is that you have a group of individuals. They go through treatment together. They can stay together the whole time. And I'm glad Retreat Premier Addiction Treatment Centers does that because that's really important. And good for Maggie. What a beautiful job that is. Huh?
To bring people together and
Absolutely.
have them live
and
life.
Stay together.
Yeah. I also love the events like the comedy club because I know when I first went to treatment, I thought, all right, I had my fun, but now I'm sober and that's over.
Yeah. No more fun.
Yeah, but I mean, seeing that there is a life outside of.
To me, I think that's the takeaway.
That is the takeaway. I
know we're running out of time.
Yeah, we're running out of time.
I think that's the takeaway, and that is from the outside looking in, right. From having seen both individuals and stuff. Right. The takeaway I'm going to walk away with, and then so the next conversation I get into somebody who's fresh in recovery, who's coming to me for whatever reason, I'm going to make sure they understand that, like, you can live the life of constantly talking about your disease and being fearful of the next drink or whatever it may be and going. Right. You can. Yeah. There's nothing. I mean, if that's what works for you, then by all means. But you can also eventually get to the point where you're living your life and it becomes a part of your past.
And if it's not fun, if we're not having fun in the sobriety, kids, we're going to get high again. That's the point. If we're not having fun, if you're out there and you're getting clean and sober and you're not having fun doing it and you're not experiencing life and engaging with other people and not connecting with other people outside of using, then the only connectivity you've ever had is getting high with that person. And there's a bond there. There's a bond there. Passing that joint with somebody or sharing that needle with somebody or sharing that spoon with somebody or sharing that straw with somebody. There was a bond created. You need to create bonds in a different way because if not, you're destined to some pain right there, some serious pain. All right, so from audio, we got to go. Trinity, is there anything else?
Already late. Nope.
Are we really?
Yeah.
All right, so adios amigos. It's time for a taco. Goodbye.
And that was without even a single drop of rum.